Welcome, welcome, welcome to Fill in the Blanks. I am Tenitra, one of the co-hosts for Fill in the Blanks. And I know you guys are probably wondering, where is my co-host, Jarvis Davis? You know what? He's somewhere else getting himself together. Here today is not about Jarvis. It is about the ladies. It is the ladies takeover. So I brought in a few of my friends from in and around the Atlanta metro area, some of the baddest girls in this market, if not this country, who've just been killing the game here locally. And just a lot of their work has even been recognized nationally. So here in Women's History Month, I wanted to recognize them, and I wanted to talk a little bit about their journeys and kind of some of the triumphs as well as challenges that we face as women in a male-dominated industry. And listen, these ladies have a lot to talk about, so I am not going to bore you with my introductions. I'm gonna just dig right in and get into what these sisters want to talk about. But first things first, let me introduce you to Tori McElhaney, who has become one of my partners in crime on the Falcons beat. She started off, and we met in passing about a year and a half ago when she was covering Georgia Tech. This was back when Jeff Collins was coming on board, and we're all kind of sitting there waiting for like hours and hours and hours for him to touch down. And then she moved over to the Falcons beat last year and has just been absolutely amazing on that beat. Keisha Kelly, the CEO herself of Black College Experience. She has played in so many spaces and places where the boys would not allow us to play, but Keisha kicks in the door and asks no questions. She takes prisoners, and she'll talk to you about it after the fact. She's had some fantastic interviews and some fantastic one-on-ones and exclusives. And she and I have actually literally, my family, they're all Southernites. I'm the lone non-Southern grad from my entire family. So they had been asking me for forever, are you following Keisha? Have you met Keisha? Have you talked to Keisha? Well, guess what? I'm talking to Keisha today. Wendy Adams is one of the first ladies I met when I transitioned into a sports career. And Wendy is just amazing. You know, we were doing intros ahead of the show. She kind of went light on hers. She only said she was a producer. What she didn't say is that she has hosted shows. She is also a personality on our station 92.9 The Game, but that's not all that she's done. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what she's done in this market, but she is one of the most enduring voices, not just female voices, but enduring voices in this market. And we're going to talk a little bit about her experience. And then finally bringing up the rear, you know, technically she says I'm her mentor, but I swear this girl's mentoring me. And that is the incomparable, the do it all Nia Sapp. It's like I can introduce her as the producer for Jarvis and I show on 92.9 The Game that comes on Saturdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, shameless plug. But that would be such not really just doing anything but scratching the surface on who she is. She's a former D1 basketball player with Alabama State University and herself hosts an amazing podcast. So we're going to talk a little bit about her experience, especially in the climate that we're in with her shifting from, as one of Wendy's hosts likes to say, Randy McMichael, shifting from that of athlete to your media now, girl. So welcome to the club and welcome and thanks for joining us. I want to start with Tori, but like I said, I want you guys all to chime in where you fit in, because this is just a conversation between girlfriends that we're happening to let the Fill in the Blanks family jump in on. So Tori, the Falcons beat. As you know, covering football is one thing for anybody in media, right? But when it comes to being a female, as well as covering a professional sports team, that's a whole nother ball game, right? So what have been for you, especially now that you've got a year under your belt and you're really, you know, how we do with Falcons, we really kind of go to our beat writers when we start our press conferences and we work our way around, and your name is called first almost all the time. So how's it been for you just to be able to get that respect? And what are some of the triumphs and challenges that you've seen on the beat?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said it wasn't really challenging coming right on the beat, because I didn't really have that much of a heads up that I was even going to be moving from covering Georgia Tech to the Falcons. It was literally like, hey, training camp starts in a week and a half, like you're going. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So that in itself was really daunting because
Mhm.
I had been in college football, covering college football for, years. And
Yeah.
it was really tough to kind of transition to the pro game because it is more of a business. And that was what
Mhm.
I can talk football all day long. My dad was my high school's football coach when I was growing up. Like, that's what I know. That's what I want to
Mhm.
do football. I want to be around it. But with the pro game, it was more about covering a business than it was almost covering a football team.
Oh
And
yeah.
and it was really tough just trying to like navigate, okay, what is this salary cap situation? What is all this about trades, free agents, and
Yeah.
draft picks, and how much money do they have? Or in the Falcons case, how much money do they not have? And
Right.
so that was that was really and truly such a daunting thing to step into. And then also throw in the pandemic where you're not
Yes.
able to have these one-on-one conversations with people. The only time I was ever able, I mean, still to this day, I have not been able to shake anyone's hand. I've
Yeah.
So
not been able
wild.
to, yeah, I've not been able to be in the same room with any of these women who are making the decisions about the team. I mean, that's
Mhm.
tough when you're a beat writer and you're
Yes.
trying to get your feet under you and trying to understand what's happening. And then throwing in being a woman and people
Mhm.
automatically think that we don't know as much about
Yeah.
football because
We
we
do.
didn't play the game,
Mhm.
which is so incredibly false. Like, I grew up breaking down film with my dad. Like, so
Yes.
so having that stipulation on top of everything else, it made it
Mhm.
really tough. And it was actually something that, I in 2020, I actually started a new journey in terms of mental health. And
Yes.
something that
Yes.
was really important for me talking with my therapist and getting on anxiety medication was understanding what people say about me, because I was getting a lot of really mean hate
Yeah.
online
Yeah.
because I was a woman.
Mhm.
I mean, that's really what it was.
Yes.
And I worked really, really hard in 2020 to get my mental health right in order to be able to be in this position now in March where I feel
Mhm.
as confident as I've ever felt. But I would be
Yeah.
lying if I said that happened in August, like a month
Right.
on the beat.
Yeah.
So to get the
It's a
respect,
journey.
it is, and it's like to get that respect and to see that shift from where it was in July and August to where it is now means so much to me.
Yeah. And that
I think
means a
that's
lot to me too when I see Tori getting those questions and getting the opportunity to ask those questions first, kind of leading the charge, if you will. She even got a shout out from Mr. Arthur Blank during one of our press conferences. And I don't know about you ladies, I know Wendy was going to chime in as well, so I'm
Yeah.
going to fall back. But when she shines, we all shine. That's kind of how I feel. So that was a proud moment for me. And then there was one moment where, I kind of like, we were on a press conference, and one of the coaches kind of went out, and the PR team was kind of going to move on, right? And it was one of those critical questions. So I just kind of said, okay, I'm going to try to circle back and answer it. And Tori was the first person to just show love and say, hey, thanks for doing that for the rest of us. So it really does mean a lot for us to have the mindset of when one shines, all shines. Go ahead, Wendy.
I think when you get those comments, I don't think people understand really how much more I feel like we as women have to study or even know what we're talking about and go the extra mile, literally hours. If this one topic where I'm like, all right, someone's going to come at me for not knowing one piece of information, I'm going to make sure I study the entire novel before I come back, because I don't think people realize that we get criticized so harshly. If we get one fact incorrect, we can't come back and be like, oh, my bad. You just have to have it memorized. But that's why I think us women, we do even more than the men do as far as studying and knowing really, or being on our A game.
Absolutely.
And to
Agreed.
piggyback off of what you're saying, Tori, that's so ironic because right now I'm studying to be a sports agent. So I was taking a course yesterday and I was reading on the CBA, and it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And you're so true, because we literally have to jump in. I think I was tweeting about it. So the next thing you know, I got a list of men under the tweet telling me what I already read, what I already studied. And I'm like, well, you in the same position as me. You don't have any type of license. You doing the same thing I'm doing, sitting on Twitter. I was like, you're telling me something that I already read. I don't understand. So, I mean, it is. Guys, they offer their opinion all the time, even when it's not warranted. Every step, even when it's not warranted.
Yeah, We're like, yeah, we really didn't ask for the cosign. We didn't
At
really
all.
need the insight. Like we're good here.
Or don't tell me to go make a sandwich, because I'll go make a sandwich and study and watch sports at the same time, because
At
I
the
can
same
multitask
time.
and I can do it all.
At the same time.
We're capable of doing both.
Exactly.
Yes. We do walk and chew gum. We actually do.
We do.
They do. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Keisha, it's interesting because speaking of that, you've gotten into some spaces and places because of your approach. And sometimes I say, listen, as women, we've got to look at it and say, hey, there, sometimes there's a burden to it, but there's a blessing to it as well, because our approach, even with all of our knowledge, we're just different beings, right? It's a Venus-Mars situation. And so we just kind of are able to sometimes utilize that to our advantage, just to be able to sometimes soften the blow or make a contact in a way that maybe that male reporter wouldn't necessarily be able to make, or in your case, the aspiring sports agent. And I know a lot of what you've been able to do, especially for HBCU sports, has been to be that voice and be that continuous and that consistent voice, and unapologetically that female voice. So tell me a little bit, and just tell us a little bit how that's been for you, especially because, listen, you're not new to this. You are true to this. You have been about the HBCU sports piece long before 2020, when it became fashionable and the thing to watch HBCU sports. So yeah, definitely. What has that journey been like for you, and how has it kind of changed or evolved now that there is so much attention being paid to what's going on in HBCU sports?
Exactly. Well, the thing is that, it was a dream so many years, I don't say so many years ago, but it was a dream somewhere around, say, 2011, 2012, which actually came to fruition about 2015, 2016. And so if you do, I'm always on Twitter saying the same thing, before we were hot, it's a hot. Everybody wants to hop on the bandwagon, and everybody's on the bandwagon because you have so many different people. You have Dion now, so people hop on the bandwagon. I'm like, well, where were you during the Comage days and these other coaches when Jackson State had a losing culture, but they still had the tradition of traveling. They still support the team. So where were you then? When were you supporting those teams? Now that you have Deion Sanders and other people in this conference, now all of a sudden everybody wants to interview. And what we see is a lot of sound bites. When we got McCour Maker that came over to Howard University, now you get everybody that wants to interview, and we're like, hey, what about these Black College Experience HBCU game days inside of the sports lab with Dr. Kenyatta Campbell? We're the people that's covering these sports every week. We're the ones that's traveling. We're the ones that's getting to know these kids. We're the ones that's on the sidelines. We're the ones that's chasing them on Twitter and Instagram. Here, no after no after no. So, this journey, it is. I've been in some spaces, and I'm one of those people. I'm a 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning person. So I might be on Twitter scrolling. If I see something and it captures me, I'm going to send you a message. I might send you a message on Instagram. I might send it to you on Facebook. I might send it to you on Twitter, but I'm going to catch you. And eventually you going to respond. And that's what I do. I just go through. Because now I'm at a point now where I don't even try to prove myself anymore to guys. I don't even try to prove myself anymore. Like I don't.
I love it.
You get it? And a lot of times they're bothered because you're able to enter those spaces that they can't enter into. And they'll be okay.
And they get uncomfortable. That's what it is. They're just
Yeah.
uncomfortable
Very.
and insecure in what their
Right.
lack of knowledge is, and they see a powerful woman able to do it better.
Yeah.
How dare you be able to get into a space that I'm not able to get into is what they think. How dare you get there and I couldn't?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But that's, again, the beauty of who we are. And one of the things that Tori mentioned, one of the things that Wendy mentioned, and I'm going to ask Wendy to kind of tee it off for us, and then I want you guys to chime in as well, is we definitely have that contingent of guys, they're always coming for us. I think somebody tweeted out, it might have been you, Tori, but I know somebody tweeted out last week about, it was like a question, or someone posted something on Twitter about whether or not men are comfortable, kind of dating women that know more about sports.
Yes.
That was you.
Honey, I had to
yes,
read through that feed because I was
me.
like, let me see. What are they really going to say? And, you had some guys who definitely were supportive. And then you kind of had some guys who they said what you expected them to say. It was very cliche-ish, very stereotypical, that sort of thing. When I think about Tori's dad, And when I think about Randy McMichael and Andy Bunker, I think about three gentlemen, among others, Hugh Douglas, Harry Douglas, for example, who have really, really been no nonsense supportive. And obviously, my co-host is obviously a male. He's also a girl dad in Jarvis Davis. So I wanted to ask you, Wendy, especially because you have been able to last on this sports station for now almost 8 years and last in this market. What's been a part of that sustainability? How have some of those guys that I just mentioned been able to help you through to sustain your career because of the kind of support they've been able to give you?
I mean, without their support nowadays, I don't know if I would have stayed in the business when I first started, because I had some guys who did not want to take direction from me, because as a producer, you're in charge of the show, you're a female, you may know more than they do. I had another coworker at one point in my career, really not like women, had said something about a female broadcaster and didn't like my opinions. But it's the guys, those are like old school mindsets now. You have guys like to see women succeed now. And the fact that I have a show that is so supportive and wants me to do better, wants me to learn more, wants me to engage more in their conversations about sports, it's even more encouraging that I'm in this business and that I stayed in this business, because I could have given up. I've cried many tears of all the comments that guys have made and coworkers who didn't necessarily like me because I was just knew more than they did, or didn't want to take direction, or didn't want to get better. But the fact that I do have the coworkers I have now and the guys that support me now, it's huge. And they stick up for you on Twitter. It's not even just sticking up for you in the workplace. They're sticking up for you in life. They're like, don't come at my girl. She knows more than you, or she can watch this game and break it down better than you. So respect it. And I think by those guys having the opinions and sticking up for women is changing the minds of other guys who are maybe a little uncomfortable with it, or maybe not ready to really understand the fact that, hey, we're here, we're not going anywhere, and we know sports. Yeah, we're here.
Something that I would also say to that is, like, I think guys are oftentimes asking like, oh, well, how can we be like allies to this? And it's not on like International Women's Month. It's not going and tweeting out our work or anything like that, or giving us shout outs on Twitter. It's in the middle of November when we are, in the middle of a season, and we're drowning in press conferences and whatever. just saying that you're there for us, saying like, hey, what do you need? Like, do you need help with this? Or like, hey, do you need to talk over this? I know for me personally, Jeff Schultz, who is our columnist in Atlanta,
sweetheart,
he has been so phenomenal for me, especially here recently coming on the Falcons beat. There's a lot of things that I'm still trying to figure out. This is my first time covering a pro beat. Like, there are a lot of things that you only learn when you're in it. And the amount of times that I've been able to call him up on a random Wednesday afternoon and be like, hey, can you crunch these numbers with me? Can you explain to me what this means? That is allyship. That is what's important. And I think I think when I tell people that, that's what I want people to understand, is that it's not just sending us a shout out on Twitter. It's being there for us when we have a question, or when we just need to talk about something.
And Tenitra, I want to shout out your co-host.
Twitter shout out. They feel good about that.
They do. Like they did it, and they're like, I don't have to do anything
else. I've done my job for the day.
And then springing off something Tori said, Tenitra, I want to shout out your co-host Jarvis Davis, because Jarvis obviously played football. I don't have that football experience of being out on the field, putting on the actual pads. But even Jarvis, when I was first covering Falcons and going to games and needing to do a report afterwards, I would ask him, all right, can you break down this play that's happening right in front of me? Or, hey, can you tell me like something different about this set that they're running right now? And he would, no questions asked, without hesitation, was like, your questions are never stupid. I will help you as much as you want and give you as much information as you need. So between Jarvis Davis and even DJ Shockley, who he doesn't owe me anything, but DJ Shockley, the nicest human, but would always help me out if I ever had a question. And it's just guys like that encouraging you and not making you feel stupid for asking any sort of information, and just helping you get smarter. Those are the guys that we should just really appreciate in this business.
Yeah.
Because I will text you in the middle of something like, hey, I will text you in the middle of anything and like, look, what's going on here? I'm that person. I will definitely text somebody.
Yeah. And they seem to appreciate that, right, Nia? They seem to, those who are really looking to embrace and support us, they love to engage in that way, right? I'm sure even, even when you're playing ball and you're trying to get better at ball, or if you're trying to say, okay, how do I transition from being that athlete to being that media personality? And I'm sure you have guys that have been and have stepped up to the plate to help you to make that transition.
Yeah, I mean, my co-host Malik Brown is amazing.
Yeah,
So
Malik's cool people.
yeah, I'm not like a football savvy person. He's not like a women's basketball savvy person. So it's like we fill each other out, you know. And I love that. I couldn't have thought of a better co-host, you know, because not only is this my co-host, but this is like my brother, you know. And we talk about various different things. Like, I mean, he loves football, you know, so I'm always picking his brain, like, you know, what's going on here, or, you know, of course I know football, but like he's into it, just like I'm into basketball. You know, I can talk about basketball all day. So, you know, it's just like helping each other out, you know. And I think for some guys, it's an ego thing, it's a pride thing. And it's just like, why? Why does it have to be that way? Like, I'm a woman, I love sports, I'm passionate about it, I know what I'm talking about. And if I have a question, I expect you to answer it because you don't know everything either, you know? So it is very refreshing, as you ladies have said, just to have those men in those places, those allies in those places, to be supportive and to respect us as women who are in sports.
Yeah. Something I want to say to that, you're talking about loving, you know, you love it. I think we're all here because we love sports. We love what we do. And I think that was something that I was telling a student at UGA not too long ago when she was talking to me. Her name's Augusta Stone. And I told her, she was asking about women in the industry. And I told her, I was like, loving the sport is enough for you to have a seat at the table. Like, I think there's always this misconception, like we were talking about, we feel the pressure to do more, to be more, to learn more, to understand more, but really just loving it, like that's enough for us to stake our claim in this industry and be a part and be figures of this industry. And that's something that's really important to me in terms of thinking about the next generation of women who are going to come up through this, is like understanding like, hey, you love football, you love basketball, great, there's a spot for you here. It's not, you don't have to be this like, you don't have to know every single thing about everything. You just gotta love it.
It's too much.
It's too much.
I think what people don't understand as well when we say we love, like, I mean, there's a different type of love for what we do because it can be overwhelming. You know, there's late nights and early mornings, you know. A lot of those, a lot of information, you know, so much is happening. Sports is 24/7. So you can never just take a day off. And so when you say that you love it, that means you're passionate about it and you're willing to put in that work. And I think that every woman that wants to be in this field, if they love it, they should feel welcome to be in these spaces. They should not feel like they don't belong in these spaces. So I'm really loving for the past about the past year or so now, it's been it's growing more, you know. Support women in sports is my shirt I have on right now.
I love that.
More of that, supporting women in sports. You know, a lot of women are so brave speaking out on their stories about experiencing so many things. I know a couple of months ago, a story had came out about a young lady. She wasn't even from America. She came to America to follow her sports journalism dreams. And I think it was something like with a coach, or I can't remember the full story, but it was like a coach or somebody was harassing her, and it was so bad to the point that she went back to her home country and she's not even doing what she loves anymore. So it's great that we are having this roundtable to sit and talk about and bring awareness to how women, we have to be as one and stick together and support one another.
And I think we saw go ahead.
I'm sorry, before you flip that, you just remind me, because today's been 10 years since I've been in Atlanta today. And it's so ironic because I was told so many times, do not move to Atlanta, do not pursue that dream, do not go to Atlanta to get into sports. If you wanted to do sports, you should have majored in that, you should have did mass communication, you should have did all of that in undergrad, is what they kept telling me. And so now I look at it and I laugh, and I was like, if I had to listen to those people that said, don't move, don't go, you should have done. And I look at all the things that I have accomplished now, and I'm like, don't move, don't go. And I keep moving and I keep going because there are so many people that will try to deter you. So now what happens is on this side, you have so many people like, hey, I remember when. I'm like, do you really? Do you really? Do you really remember? Because it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Yeah, for sure.
I
It's
keep
funny.
saying and this is of course a joke, but I'll say it amongst friends. I keep saying that one of these good days when I get that dream job, I'm gonna blare Mike Jones so loud. Back then, y'all didn't want me. Now I'm hot.
Now I think
that's my dream in life. Yeah. When I achieve at that highest level, I'm like, yeah, just
Right.
a reminder.
Absolutely.
Oh,
It's
and that's
funny
another thing in sports. You said, like, I'm sorry, Nia, I cut you
No,
off.
go
You can
ahead, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say that's another thing in sports. Tenitra, you go when you get that next dream job or your dream job, that's another thing for I think women in sports that I have a hard time even wrapping my brain around is, am I gonna age out? I feel like that's a question that guys don't have to deal with in this industry at all. And it shouldn't be in the back of my mind as much as it is, but it is. Like, what happens if I get crow's feet? Am I gonna have to like go get boats? Like it's a whole thing. And I think men don't understand that part of our worry, even in this business. So I think that's why we're even more on top of our A game, where we try to pursue other avenues just to stay in the sports business. Because I mean, there's older men in the business, but there's not a lot of like older women that are encouraged to keep being in the business, even though they are some of the brightest females in sports.
Yeah. And everything, so many of the comments are about the look. Like I'll get calls from my guy friends sometimes and they'll say, like one of them went down the rabbit hole on Saturday because he wanted to talk about so-and-so. And I know you guys will know who I'm talking about, but a former ESPN anchor's now silver hair. And I was like, well, she's just doing her, like she's expressing herself. It has nothing to do with her ability to do her job. I mean, I'm sorry you don't like it, but like her job is still a good look. And so I was like, are we going down this rabbit hole again? Because usually, he's supportive of what I'm doing. But on the same token, I said, every now and again, that piece still comes up because inherently our look and how it evolves and what their expectations are, especially in sports. Let's be real. Sports, more so than really news, maybe only entertainment anchors and hosts and reporters have to deal with the looks issue and that aspect of their work. But ours is just as serious. Like literally, you get to the point where you're like, okay, are you more concerned about the beauty or the brains? Because in sports, it just feels like there's so much, kind of energy put behind the beauty. And you're like, ooh, can I get the same energy for the brains of the operation and what I bring to the table? So yeah, we do have that level. And it goes back to what Tori said earlier about protecting our mental, because we get rejected over and over and over in this business about, oh, well, we just decided to go with a different candidate, more so than, I've been in corporate America. And I could take, and I've only been in this business for a couple of years, but if I take the time I've been in this business, it's like triple the amount of rejection I got in my corporate space. And the scary part is the rejection is always subjective. I've never had anybody come back and say, wow, you didn't get that gig because like, we really didn't feel like you knew the differences between the X and Y receiver. And we really felt like you kind of missed the fact that there's really no ball movement with no, that's never been it. It's always just been a subjective, like, well, we just kind of couldn't quite put their finger on it because you can't say it out loud. Let's be real. Like, what Wendy's talking about, we can tell it and we know it because we're women. So we know what we're up against when we are up against it. But yeah, that's a totally different area for us where we've got to constantly protect our mental and tell ourselves that we're good enough on the inside as well as on the outside. And we're just as bad as the person who, did get it, and just kind of continue to reassure ourselves that we're worth it and that we belong.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and one of the things too that I love about where we are as women, especially finding our voice in this industry, whether you're on the sidelines, whether you're in the front office, whether you are reporting. And when I say sidelines, of course, meaning from a coaching perspective, but when you're reporting as well. And we saw it come through this weekend. We really, really saw it come through this weekend when one of the players in the NCAA women's tournament was courageous enough to say, not today. What you're not going to do is treat me inequitably relative to my counterparts. who are playing the same dang game. I'm putting the same effort forth to get to where they are going. And it was so interesting. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes, me reading articles and kind of going down certain folks' Twitter feeds just to kind of see what the commentary was. But I thought, wow, she's so courageous to have spoken up, and then other people followed. Obviously, other coaches followed. But Nia, that really made me think about you as a former player and now in media, just to see that whole piece. It's like we're growing and we're evolving and we're making steps, right? And then you see this foolishness.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this has been going on for years and years, like before my time, I grew up before we even had the Atlanta Dream that came in '08. I grew up going to Georgia Tech women's games. And, I would always see the difference when I would go to the men's game, or if I would go to the Hawks game as a kid, and just see the amount of fans that would be in these arenas, so much more than the women. And of course, growing up as an athlete throughout elementary, middle, high school, of course, in high school and college, you see the difference where women play at 5:30, men play at 7:30. And then by halftime of our game, that's when everybody starts rolling in, or they start rolling in at the end and nobody's watching our games. Do you know how frustrating that is?
Yeah.
To literally, put your blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and for somebody to basically belittle you because they want to talk about revenue, or you're not that exciting to watch, is the most frustrating thing ever. And so, the WNBA has constantly has talked about the difference between the WNBA and the NBA. We know the wage gap. We know the pay equity is not where it should be. It is so sad that these women have to leave their family 6 months out of the year to go overseas, to go play in another country just to make a living, because they can't make a living in their own country to play this sport that they are great at, And of course, this weekend, I was outraged. But again, as a former NCAA athlete, this was not a shock to me. This is nothing new. It's just like, when are you guys going to finally stop, get out of this old mindset that women don't matter, because we do.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everyone that has stepped up, has made their tweets, has said whatever. I was very disappointed just to see the men, for instance, Nick Young, what he said about calling these women the JV team. And you have a daughter. It's very disgusting to me. It's not even funny, but we still have a long way to go. And I want to be a part of this journey to make sure that the next generation of young women never have to feel what I felt as an athlete, putting in all this work throughout the week. I did what I have to do on and off the court. And then to just come and play this game that I love and not be respected as a woman because I am a woman and I don't dunk and I'm not that exciting to watch. Let's be real here. A lot of these keyboard warriors that sit behind these computers with these Cheeto licking fingers, you couldn't even pick up a basketball if you wanted to be honest, So I hate to see it, but I hope that, this never happens again, because I love that people brought up Title IX, because nobody even knows about the Title IX. That is discrimination all day. Listen, women's basketball has been exciting to watch. It will always be exciting, whether if we dunk, whether if we doing alley-oops, all of that good stuff. So shout out to these women, and shout out to women, period, because we stick together, as I said earlier, and we will continue to do so.
Yeah. Amen to that.
But I think, and I guess you said that when you said people saying it's not interesting, I preach this to student athletes all the time and alumni. And I know they get tired of me, and people will be like, well, nobody's watching tennis, or nobody's watching bowling, or nobody's watching track and field. Well, if they on a scholarship, somebody.
Uh-oh, Keisha, I think you're muted. We got to get you back.
No.
Yep. You went out for a minute. We can see you, but we can't hear you. There you go.
I'm sorry.
There she is.
I preach it to them all the time as student athletes, as friends, family, parents, whatever. We owe it to these student athletes. They go out there and put their bodies on the line. They practice, they sweat, they do whatever they do. We owe it to these students whoever they are, to support them. I don't care if it's bowling and you don't watch it. I don't care if it's track and field and you don't care about it. If they're on a scholarship, we owe it to them to support them. We owe it to those student athletes, because you're talking about 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. And then you got old people that's 60, 70 years old, as you said, sitting behind Twitter, analyzing them, talking about what they can't do when you couldn't even play Pop Warner. That's what I don't understand about people. You criticize somebody that has a skill set that you can't even understand.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's funny that you said that, because when we talk about sacrifices, do you know how much women sacrifice every single day to get a scholarship, to be able to get their school paid for?
Exactly.
That was the first thing my mom always told me. I'm not paying for school, so I had to grind. I really had to grind. But let's take it back. We're in a global pandemic. And I mean, honestly, the first part of the college season was a hot mess. I mean, we can all agree.
Yes, we can all agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so it's like a slap in the face. You've worked your butt off to get to San Antonio, and then you come and you got prison food. You don't have a weight room. You don't have anything. I mean, it's sickening. It's sickening.
Yeah, that made me mad. I had to log off when I saw that. I had to log off when I saw that. That was an all-day conversation.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. That there are no words. There just are no words. And this was one of those situations where you appreciate that there is Twitter or any type of social media to expose the heck out of all of that, because like Nia said, it's been going on for years. It's just that now we all got to see it in living color. And what do you have to say for yourself, NCAA? And really, if they're thinking about it and kind of paying attention, especially to what's been going on in the WNBA, just the steam that they're getting. And even there's a new soccer league that's coming up, an all-female soccer league that men have bought into, and they're supporting, they're buying teams. So if you're looking at some of the movement and the motion, the energy is there, the attention is there, the excitement is there. I don't know, what they're talking about, because when I saw some of those responses of like, yeah, it's just not entertaining, it's not interesting, I'm like, wow, that's really interesting, because I've been going to women's games since my college days. Like I was couldn't play for health reasons. So I was like, well, those who can't play, support and talk about those who can. So literally I was half of, I don't want to say team trainer, but for lack of a better term, like the team manager, the team cheerleader, the team tutor, the team everything. Like whatever our girls needed, I was like there. I was at every game, and I didn't have to be because I was a dancer. So all I had to do was show up for halftime of the boys' game. But I always went to that girls' game because I wanted them to know that they mattered. And even when, the WNBA first started, like every city I ever lived in, always tried to get to a couple games, if for no other reason, just so they could see some faces in the building that are saying, hey, somebody is watching and somebody is loving what you do, and please don't quit.
Yeah.
I want to wrap up with asking you guys one more question, because I know our girl Wendy has to go, and I'm sure you guys probably have some other deadlines to hit, and probably 17 other Zoom calls today. So but before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you guys, you all have mentioned it throughout the course of this conversation, and I think it's important for us to absolutely honor and recognize what others have done for us by saying, hey, who can I give back to, and who can I reach out to and help to kind of pull them up. So as we wrap up, I want to hear from each one of you kind of saying maybe one or two things that you want to share with that young lady who is saying, hey, either I want in, but I don't know how to get in, or I'm doing something else that I hate. I've got this passion, or I'm about to give up on this thing. I just can't do it. It's too much pressure. I don't have enough support. What do you guys say to those ladies, just to tell them, as Keisha said it before, keep moving and keep pushing?
Well, for me, I don't play the game, but I have always watched the game, and I had to find out what I was passionate about in the world of sports. And for me, I would say, find what you're passionate about in the world of sports, and then figure out where you want to go from there, and then reach out. Like I always encourage girls, whether you're on my Instagram or your Twitter, please, if you have, or LinkedIn, like if you have any questions about the industry, please let me know. but find what you're passionate about. I love producing. Like, I don't want to be on camera. I don't have a passion to be on camera. I like to write articles for our website, but I don't know if I could cover an entire beat. But I'm passionate about producing a sports radio show. I would be passionate about producing anything, a TV sports show, but you have to find out your niche in the sports industry and just attack it. And then I think you're going to be your happiest, because everybody has their niche in this business, and just find it, find a female in that certain field and reach out, because we will help, and we will email back, and we will reach back out to make sure you succeed, to make sure the next generation is even stronger than we are.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
bouncing off of that, I think what I was going to say is like, find a community. That for me was so important, to find other women in this field, because so many times you walk into a press conference situation, you walk into any situation, even a practice, and you're surrounded by so much testosterone, which is fine. We knew what we were getting into when we got these jobs. However, it's so great to sit down and to have conversations with women who are going through the same exact things that you're going through, because it normalizes it. For so long, I felt like some serious like imposter syndrome. We've talked about it, where like, I don't belong here. I don't look like I belong here. I have a lot more estrogen. I shouldn't be here. Like, it was always feeling that way until I started communicating with women in the industry, and it made me feel like I wasn't alone. It empowered me, and I love that we were all able to get together and do this, because I'm leaving this, going and doing other things the rest of the day, feeling empowered to be a woman in this situation. It's because of this community. And I think that if I'm talking to younger women, find that community, look for it, and literally reach out to us and talk to us, because we want to help the next generation. I mean, we had women, I guarantee you all of us could name 5 or 6 women who helped pave the way for us, who opened the door for us. And I think that it's so important to find that, especially when you're young.
Yeah, agree. And before we go on, Wendy, where would be the best way if a young lady, and Tori the same, and Keisha and Nia, definitely when you guys answer, chime in, where is the best way or the easiest way if an aspiring journalist, a sports journalist, wanted to reach out to you? How would you want them to do that?
I mean, I'm always on my social media, whether that be LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, it's all the same. It's at Wendy Radio. You're more than welcome to direct message me at any time of day, with whatever you're feeling, or if you need any advice, or if I could even put you in touch with somebody else that would help you on even a different path, please just don't hesitate to reach out. So it's just at Wendy Radio on all my social media platforms. More than happy to answer anything.
I would say social media for me too, honestly.
Okay.
At Tori_McElhaney on both Instagram and Twitter. And I'll reply. I mean, it was funny because I had someone reach out the other day that was like, I don't know if you'll reply or see this. And I was like, I saw it, and like, let's chat. Like, it's all good. So definitely like reach out on social media. That's slide into the DMs. You know, that's we always
for something worth sliding into it, right, Tori?
Exactly. Don't slide into my DMs if you're a man looking for a date. That won't work.
Please.
Slide into my DMs if you're a woman looking to get into the industry, and that's where I'll leave it.
Because we don't have enough time on this podcast to talk about all the dudes who has tried to slide into DMs. And they'll start off, allegedly wanting to talk sports, and then boy, about that second or third message, that's when they try to go in for the kill. But again, we don't have time to talk about that today. Anyway.
Same for me, social media, Twitter and Instagram at Nia on Air. Will be welcome. I'm always getting messages. I have to learn to check my request messages now, because it's just
that was new to me.
But just to chime in on the conversation, I would say be authentic. Always remain you. That is one thing that I had to learn going into this, because I actually started out interning at 2 news stations. So I was at a news station back in Montgomery where my school was, WSFA 12 News. And then when I came home after I graduated, I interned at 11 Alive with their sports department. And during that time, I was trying to find myself, trying to find what made me comfortable. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I was not comfortable in the newsroom at all, because there aren't many people that look like me in there. And I battle with so much, like my hair, like is my braids or my twist professional, or just
Mhm.
those different type of things. And so
Yeah.
when you are remaining authentic and you remain yourself, people love that and people see that and people know when you're not being yourself. And so
Mhm.
that is something that's just helped me through life, being an athlete and being real and being pure and being myself. When you see me talk on Twitter, that's me. Like, that's Nia. This is not a
Yeah.
front. This is not, oh, let me look perfect on social media. Like, you're gonna get the full me. Like, there are
Yeah.
days where I don't feel like being Nia that talks about sports. Sometimes I just want to be Nia, the 23-year-old that she is, but I still remain professional and I always remain to be true to myself. You never want to lose yourself going through this industry trying to be something that you're not.
Yes.
And then
Absolutely.
for me, I live by the quote, the future is female. I eat, sleep, breathe it. I want
I
people
love
to
it.
understand it.
Yeah.
I live by it. When you walk, that's it. You got it.
Got it.
When
It's on
you
my
walk
desk.
in a room, own it. Own the room. Command the attention. Because like you said, there's already enough testosterone in there, Tori. So when you walk in, don't feel like you're not supposed to be there. You walk in, you own the room. For
Yeah.
me, this is a conversation I had with Tenitra. We know that guys are stat heavy. They're very stat heavy when they're having a conversation. Pam Oliver told me sometime last year, find one thing that you know guys won't talk about. Find something that you know they're not talking about. They're not talking about what you cooking or what you eating. Find something, because everybody knows your stats. Everybody knows your injuries. Find that one thing that everybody's not talking about. And that's how I actually get into the spaces that I'm getting into, because I ask those questions. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, 25 guys have asked about why did you
Right.
lose? They asked about your
Right.
stats. They asked about your injuries. And I've learned to
Mhm.
move from that space.
Mm.
So for me, to find me, of course, I'm Black College Experience. On Twitter, it's Black College EXP. On Instagram, it's Black College Experience. And then Facebook, it's the Black College Experience.
Yes, yes. Well, ladies, I cannot thank you enough for this conversation. I mean, we talk
Thank you,
offline
too.
all the time, but bringing it to the podcast has been absolutely fantastic. And I really do hope, and I think you guys will co-sign on this, if there is one young lady who stays the course because she's seen this, or if there is one guy who sees it and he just shifts his mindset 5 degrees on appreciating and respecting what sports professionals, female sports professionals are doing to help change the game and evolve the game, then we have done our job today. So you guys know you can follow me on Insta and on Twitter at Tenitra Batiste. Also, please do follow the show. It's at Fill in the Blanks on Twitter, I think it is, and on Instagram, I think it's _ fill in the blanks, or vice versa, but you can find us. Or, of course, you can find us on most Saturdays when it's not much madness on 92.9 The Game. Jarvis Davis and I are on the show. Nia is our super producer. And you're going to find Tori and I back on the beat in a little while, because we've got free agency and a draft that we've got to watch like peering eyes. And Wendy, because she will be back with us. We're calling that into existence in the fall, because we're going to be back like normal on the beat in the fall on Sunday. So we're calling it out. And Keisha and I were supposed to get together a couple of weeks ago, but we couldn't. It was me. Couldn't get my schedule right. Okay. me. I'm the problem. But hopefully she and I will be able to get together really soon as well on the beat, and be able to really, really kind of dig in and dive into what's going on, because I believe there are some awesome spaces. In fact, there's one space she doesn't even know I'm working on that I got to talk to her about offline, about some things we're doing on the HBCU sports front. So I'm just excited about what we're doing here in Atlanta, because I think that we, not just being in a top 10 market, but just being in the cradle of the South, the cradle of the Southeast, we are still definitely the trendsetters that get it better. So again, on behalf of the Fill in the Blanks family, I thank you, ladies, for taking the time to just come and stop by. I hope you'll do it again sometime soon. I hope you'll do it again sometime soon. And for Jarvis Davis, I'm Tenitra Batiste. Thanks for stopping by. Fill in the Blanks.